All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are peeling back the curtain on the whole AI revolution to show you something that you don't normally get to see. We're talking about the entire world, the whole system that supports the AI language models we all use. So you've probably used ChatGPT, right? Or something like it. But have you ever really stopped to think about what it actually takes to make that magic happen? It seems like a simple question, but believe me, the answer is way more complex than you'd think. That's because it's not just some app on a server somewhere. No. It's a vast, living, breathing ecosystem. It's got all these different layers of technology and intense competition, all tangled together, all working just to bring that little chat window to your screen. So let's dive in. Here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start at the very bottom with the physical stuff, the foundation, which is all the hardware and the cloud. Then we'll talk about the fuel for these machines, the world's data. From there, we move up to the brains of the operation, the giants and the specialists. After that, we'll look at the toolbox, which is how developers are actually building with the stuff. And finally, we'll get to the top, the interface, the apps and agents we all know and use. Okay, so layer one, the foundation, the hardware and the cloud. I mean it when I say this is the physical bedrock of the entire AI world. Seriously, without this layer, nothing else we're about to talk about would even exist. And it all really starts with this one little but incredibly mighty piece of hardware, the GPU, or Graphics Processing Unit. Yeah, the same kind of chip that was first made for video games. Their superpower is something called parallel computing, which just means they can do thousands of things all at once. And that, right there, is the absolute secret sauce for training these massive AI models. Now, when you look at who makes these GPUs, the market isn't just a little lopsided. It's a near total monopoly. I mean, check this out. One company, NVIDIA, controls over 90% of the entire AI GPU market. That makes them arguably the single most powerful and critical company in this whole ecosystem. It's pretty wild. But look, a super fast GPU is totally useless if you can't feed it data fast enough. It's like having a race car with a tiny fuel line. And that's where this stuff, high bandwidth memory, or HBM, comes in. Think of it as pure high-octane fuel. By literally stacking memory chips on top of each other, companies like SK Hynix create this ultra-fast pipeline that just fire hoses data into the GPU at the insane speeds it needs. So where do all these super-powered GPUs and all this fancy memory actually live? Well, it's not in your office, that's for sure. They live in these colossal data centers run by the big three cloud providers. And as you can see, Amazon's AWS is leading the pack, with Microsoft's Azure and Google Cloud right behind. They are, for all intents and purposes, the landlords of the entire AI world. And this is where the strategy gets really interesting. These cloud providers are making huge, critical deals. You've got Microsoft's Azure, which is the exclusive home for OpenAI. I mean, that partnership single-handedly supercharged Azure's market share. Then you have AWS, which hosts other huge players like Anthropic. And of course, Google uses its own cloud for its own Gemini models. These aren't just client relationships. They're deep, strategic alliances. Okay, so we've got the supercomputers. We know where they live. Now what do we feed them? That brings us to our second layer, the fuel, the world's data. This is literally the food that nourishes these AI models and teaches them everything they know. Now, while a lot of companies use their own private data, a gigantic portion of the training fuel for almost everyone comes from this amazing nonprofit project called Common Crawl. You can think of it like a public library of the entire internet. It just scrapes billions of public web pages and then makes all that text available to anyone for free. It's a foundational resource. And the scale we're talking about here is it's just hard to even comprehend. Since 2008, Common Crawl has collected data from over 2.5 trillion web pages. Let that sink in. Trillion. And it just keeps growing. This massive, massive archive of human knowledge, of our writing, is the raw clay from which modern AI is being sculpted. Okay, so hardware is ready, data is loaded. Now we can finally move up to the really cool part, the brains of the operation. This is where we meet the large and small language models at the very heart of this ecosystem. And it's super important to understand that not all AI models are the same. On the one hand, you have the giants, the big closed-source models like GPT. Think of them as a jack of all trades. They can do a bit of everything, but they need a ton of power. On the other hand, you have this explosion of smaller, specialized models. They're often open source, light weak, and fine-tuned for one specific job. Some are even small enough to run right on your phone. And here they are, the apex predators, the big dogs, the major foundation models from the tech giants. You've got OpenAI's GPT-5, which people are saying has PhD-level intelligence. Then there's Anthropic's Claude, Google's Gemini, which is deeply woven into their whole ecosystem, and of course xAI's Grok, which has that unique edge of being trained on data from X. These guys are the ones setting the pace for the whole industry. So having one of these powerful brains is amazing. But now what? How do you actually connect it to the real world and build something useful with it? Well, that brings us to layer 4, the toolbox. This is all about how developers actually tame these wild new models and put them to work. This is basically the standard issue toolkit for any AI developer today. You've got coding assistants like Copilot built right into their programming software. You have incredible sites like Hugging Face, which is basically the GitHub for AI, where you can find thousands of open source models. Then there are tools like Llama that make it super simple to run these models on your own laptop, and frameworks like LangChain that let you chain everything together to build really complex apps. And this right here just shows you the power of these new tools. A developer can build something called a RAG system, which basically lets an AI use a specific set of your documents to answer questions. It grounds the AI in specific facts. A few years ago, this was insanely hard. Now, a tool like LangChain turns it into a series of logical steps. It's making advanced AI accessible to so many more people. All right, we've climbed all the way up. We started with the silicon chips, went through the data, the models, the tools, and now we've reached the very top of the pyramid, the interface, the apps and agents. This is the part that we all actually see and touch and use every single day. And when you talk about AI apps, let's be honest. There's one name that just towers over everything else: ChatGPT. With over 600 million monthly active users, I mean, that's not just an app. That is a global phenomenon. It completely dwarfs all of its competitors and is the main way most of the planet is experiencing this technology for the first time. But the future, it's not just about chatting. The next big evolution is what people are calling AI agents. This is where the AI moves beyond just conversation and starts to actively do things for you. We're talking about organizing your files, doing web research and writing a summary, or even booking your dinner reservations. The key difference is they don't just talk, they do. So the next time you type a simple prompt into a chat box, just remember this. You are lighting up this entire pyramid, from an NVIDIA GPU humming away in a massive data center, to the common crawl data it was trained on, to the developer frameworks that wire it all together. Every single layer, all working together in that one instant just for you. And you have to understand this ecosystem is anything but finished. It is alive, it's breathing, and it is a brutally competitive environment. As one analysis puts it, players who fall behind in this race will just disappear from the ecosystem, and brand new players are going to pop up to take their place. Which really just leaves us with one final fascinating question. We've kind of mapped out this crazy digital jungle as it exists today, a world of silicon, data, and code. But as this ecosystem keeps growing and evolving at lightning speed, you have to wonder, what new species are going to appear next?